Hello, beautiful community. Welcome back to another incredible interview in our series, Overcoming Overwhelm, a nervous system approach to health, wealth, wellness, success, everything that you can imagine. It starts with our nervous system. And I'm so excited today to bring you Jodi. Jodi, I want to make sure I'm saying your last name right.
Geline,
Good.
Jodi
Yeah.
Geline.
Perfect. That's what I was going to say, but I like to just double check. Jodi is a health expert known for helping people age healthier, banish bloat and IBS for good, and reclaim their health permanently. And I love that, there's so much wrapped up in that. And I know that we're going to dive into it and really figure out, what are the pieces that we need in order to do those things. But before I do that, I've been asking most of the guests, the nervous system being such an important aspect of my work, and certainly so many of the people that are here on the series. I'm curious to know did you understand the connection between, stress, our nervous system, and health in the beginning of your work, or was that something that kind of, came out as you were working and noticing things? I'm fascinated by how people began to incorporate the nervous system, because it's not really something that's been around. As far as, of course, it's been around. Of course, we've understood it and studied it, but not necessarily so much in relationship to our health and to, areas of growth and transformation. So I'm curious, just as, someone looking at this issue and how it's become more important, how did that come up for you? How did you recognize its importance?
Yeah, that's a good question because I studied health and self-development since I was 22.
Wow.
So I did talks, and I do talks on women's health, children's nutrition, different things like that. And when I do my talks, I'd always say what the mind harbors, the body manifests in some way. And I knew that,
Yeah.
but I'm telling you, until I went from looking 9 months pregnant from bloat
Mm.
for 19 years, I was not pregnant for 19 years. When I went from that to a flat stomach, I got it on a whole other level,
Yes.
just a whole other
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's so much of this work, it really is experiential. We're like, we hear about it, we understand it, but then when we really integrate it and see how it plays out in our own lives, it becomes so much more understandable, and we're able to help people on a whole new level
Yeah.
from our own
Yeah.
experiences.
It was such a discovery that it is a big thing. It's really
Yeah.
a big thing.
Well, let's dive into that a little bit. Why don't you share with us a little bit about what you discovered and how important, that connection is? And, we'll talk about it probably from the standpoint of where everybody can understand from stress, but help us understand first, what is stress? And then how does it impact our health? And in particular, I'd love to hear your take on our digestive system in particular. I know it affects everything, literally, right? As you said. But
Yeah.
I'd love to, get really kind of pick your brain and get your expertise around and the effects specifically on our digestion.
Yeah. So it starts for me anyway, it started, and I think a lot of people, it really starts when you're little, and the stuff that happens in your home when you're growing up. And I grew up with a lot of trauma and abuse. And so of course you're on a heightened state of alert. It's like you just don't know like what's going to happen. And I mean, even it could be minor things like, and this isn't minor at all, yelling. That's very traumatic for a child.
Absolutely.
Uh, so all these little things, they actually affect the nervous system. I mean, I used to even jump not that long, years ago, as an adult from somebody slamming the cupboard door. It was like, that was my daughter when she was home. And it's like, don't do that, because that's past memories coming up. Your nervous system remembers that
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
And so as a child, I didn't want anybody to know how hurt I was. And I would hold my breath so I wouldn't cry.
Mm.
So what did I do? I stuffed everything down. I learned not to feel. I learned not to have emotion. And so, here I am as an adult, and of course it's going to catch up with you.
Yeah.
And if you don't heal it, it's going to manifest. And
Mm-hmm.
the crazy thing is like I said, I studied and did self-development since I was 22. So I did a lot of self-development work and overcame some of my abuse, but it wasn't until I went deeper. You've got to get to a deeper level. You just have to.
Yeah.
And when I did, and back up, I got married knowing it wasn't right for me.
Mm.
And about 2 months before I got married, my stomach, I'd get digestive issues, I'd start bloating. And I kind of wondered, like, is this because I'm not supposed to be doing this? And then after I got married, that was it.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
constant. I was so ill. Like, my stomach looked 9 months pregnant. I spent hours and hours and hours a day in the bathroom. I was in so much pain. I couldn't even stand up sometimes because the pressure was so huge.
Sure.
I couldn't breathe. So I remember I go to places and be like, God, I hope nobody notices that
Oh,
I stand
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Or be in a fetal position on the couch. It was the
Yeah.
bloat. It was a
Yeah.
lot more than that, the
And it was
pain.
probably distracting you too from, looking at life, looking at, your situation. I mean, that's not the space from which we, make big change and figure out what we want our life to look like, right?
Yeah, I was just trying
And
to make it, through the day.
exactly. How do I get through today? And then when I'm feeling better, maybe I can see, it's funny today on we have a Talk Tuesday where we, address different topics and stuff. And today really was understanding the wisdom of the body. And so your story is such a perfect example of how much smarter our bodies are than our minds are, right? Our minds will trick us into doing things. We'll go off and be, make up all kinds of crazy stuff, but our bodies do not lie. And so your experience is really, quite an example of that. It was like, I'm going to get her attention.
And
I
your
need her to
body,
hear me.
yes, your body always speaks to you. I tell people this all the time. Your body always speaks to you, always, through symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
My body was telling me, no,
Yeah.
don't do this. Don't do this. And my stuff was with men. I was abused by men as a child. I get married to a man that, didn't treat me that well. And then, of course, I didn't learn my lesson. I got a divorce. I'm a single mom, stressed to the max, trying to make ends meet.
Yeah.
Then I got in a relationship with an abusive narcissist.
Wow.
And that was my journey. I had to go there. It was a blessing in disguise, as horrifying as it was. And man, I'm telling you, my whole body twisted because of him screaming at me all the time. I literally couldn't walk for a while. It was so bad.
Yeah.
But then I finally hit rock bottom. It's like, hello, I said, never call me again. And I hung up on him. And that was it. And it took me time to get there. But I said, never again. Never will I let a man abuse me.
Yeah.
But it was because I wasn't valuing me. And this is what I learned as a child.
Right.
And
right.
As much as you don't want it, you do it because you learn that's what love is.
Yeah. And let me ask you a question. I'm curious because this is such a fascinating story, and what a story of courage and strength too. So, wow, thank you for just sharing that with us. But I'm curious. I always think, we get those experiences in life. We get redos. We get chances to redo, right? The relationship, the treatment that you received as a sweet little one, that was not okay, and it hurt you. It literally wounded you, and you needed to heal. And the way we heal is by going back into those kinds of situations and doing them differently, holding our boundaries and taking care of ourselves. And I think sometimes, we'll just keep getting that experience over and over, in addition to the fact that it feels familiar and right. But each time it's an opportunity, and you really seize that opportunity that last time to say, this is how I heal from all of it by taking my power back in this
Yep.
time, and
Yes.
showing up differently this time for myself.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had a friend say, what are you doing? Like, she had stayed with me a short time, and I was, working 2 jobs and trying to make ends meet and, crazy,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
sleeping.
yeah.
He's like, what are you doing? You're going to kill yourself. She goes, you need to slow down. I said, are you nuts? I mean, I literally,
And I'm gonna, that's the last thing survival system wants to hear, right? Survival is all about mobilization and action and, you know,
yeah,
getting it done.
yes. And
Wow.
I was thinking she's crazy, but yet I knew she was right because I had just
Mm-hmm.
broken an ankle.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And that was, yeah, like, oh, you're not going to slow down. We'll slow
but
you
yeah, I'll take care of that
down.
for you. Yeah.
And so
Wow.
that happened. And so I started to slow down.
Yeah.
And when you slow down, you actually get more done. I know that's a tough concept,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's true. I had to figure that out on my own through
Absolutely.
struggling to slow down. Yeah.
Yeah, because when we're in that frantic state and we're just, going, we're like running around in circles half of the time versus taking the straight path when we're clear and really connected. Yeah. So you really get it when a client comes to you and they're in a space where life is frenetic for them and they're absolutely convinced that there's no way to do it differently. You get it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
So, obviously, what we're talking about, one person might have their stress and trauma manifest through their digestive system. Another person might have it, manifest through constant sprains or breaks and whatever. Somebody else, an autoimmune disease, whatever. Right. So what you're sharing, the principles pretty much apply across the board. But since you have such a great, expertise in the digestive system, help us understand a little bit about the chronic conditions and how you work with people both on a very, functional level with respect to what they're eating and how they're taking care of themselves, but also how to kind of step out of that stress a little bit and really start to live more in the parasympathetic state where we can rebuild and get our bodies operating functionally again.
Yeah. Yeah. What I do is I help them to calm their nervous system. So I give them techniques to
Yeah.
calm their nervous system. I teach them how to slow down. And some of that is mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to really understand that this is key and you can do it.
Mm.
And helping people along the way, encouraging them too, like you're holding their hand.
Yeah.
Some of these rough spots where, like I was saying with me, it's like, no, you're crazy, I can't.
Yeah.
But you can.
Yeah.
And yes, eating is important, but I really work with the emotions. I
Mm.
work healing the past trauma,
Mm-hmm.
because emotions manifest in the body. And I literally, and the words you speak, so I'm clairvoyant, and this may sound crazy, but I see the energy of words coming out of my mouth sometimes. I can see their energy.
Yeah.
Everything has energy. You are
Of
energy.
course. Yeah.
Everything is energy. So these words, they manifest in your body. The
Yeah.
emotions manifest in your body. So you must clear those emotions, because the energy of those emotions get trapped in the body.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got to release. I help people release the unresolved trapped emotions. And this is what I did to heal. It's like when I went deeper
Mm-hmm.
in my work, in what I did to heal,
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing. All of a sudden my
Yeah.
stomach got flat, and I was like,
What's going on?
what happened? 19 years, I tried everything under the sun. I even went to a cancer clinic in Mexico for 2 weeks thinking that might help me.
Yeah.
I mean, I was desperate. I never gave up. That's one thing, never give up.
Yeah.
Never give up. So I never gave up. And so here's where I knew for sure it was emotional. So I talked about the abusive narcissist.
Yeah.
And so I'm standing there talking to my friend, and my stomach was fine, and I'm talking, the phone rang, I looked down and it was him, and my stomach instantly got big. This was before I was healed all the way.
Yeah.
And I looked at her and I went, and it was like, that's how your body reacts.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Like, it's when you clear those emotions, help the mindset, you slow down, and then you will release the trapped emotions, and your body will heal itself. Your body is amazing. It is a natural healer. It knows what to do.
Yeah. We just need to provide the conditions for that. Yeah.
Exactly.
I
Yes.
love that.
Yep. So people right away think it's, oh, digestion, it's food. No,
Yep.
I've always had a great diet. Always. I've
Yeah.
always exercised. I'm a health nut. People used to call me that before it was cool to be healthy.
Yeah. Right.
So it had nothing to do with what I was eating.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I
Yeah.
practiced
That's
starved
fascinating.
myself for years,
Trying
so.
to, yeah, just trying to, or just not uh, being comfortable digesting. Like everything hurts it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And I do see that sometimes.
And I'm not saying go eat junk food, or you know what I mean? I'm not saying that.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're just really highlighting how important it actually is to get to the root. And I love, there was an analogy a few weeks ago, on an interview, and somebody was kind of explaining, like, rather than looking at the problem, right, the poor digestion, the IBS, the bloating, whatever, rather than looking at that and being like, okay, how do we fix this, that's kind of almost like, a dysfunctional way of looking at it, and instead asking, what is it pointing to, right? What is it trying to tell me as the first line of approach with these things. Yeah.
Yep. And like I said, that fast, those emotions,
It's
those
incredible.
thoughts, that fast.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
completely connected. Although I'll just throw this out.
yeah.
We are disconnected. I mean, your body is connected, but from things that have happened in your life, you're disconnected from your body. You don't realize you are, but you are disconnected. And the healing helps you reconnect to your body. And when you're in your body, especially as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't even tell you the transformation in me. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
So many different things. And really, that sense of safety, which is an absolute prerequisite for being able to be in that healing space, that the parasympathetic, having our regulated, healthy nervous system, right, requires safety.
Yes.
And when we're cut off, we're in a state of terror almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is not safe to not know what's going on in your body. So being disconnected automatically creates a sense of danger, which puts our system, in a more activated state. So if we want to live in that, parasympathetic state and have access to this, goddess self that we are, we have to be embodied.
Oh
So
my
I'm
God.
curious, what are some of the practices that you use with people to help them get back in touch with their body? Because I know serving the trauma community, you definitely have people who are like, it's not comfortable. I'm afraid of my body, the feelings, the sensations. And it's been so long, how do you help, especially somebody who doesn't feel comfortable inching back into their body? How do you help them do that work?
Yeah, it's a process.
Yeah.
It's a process. When I couldn't even move my hips, like say I was dancing or whatever.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't move my hips. And when I healed, all of a sudden I was like, what happened? I didn't do anything. I healed.
Wow.
But my
Yeah.
hips just, my body released, right? It felt
Mm-hmm.
safe.
Mm-hmm.
So doing that healing work. And then some of the other things you can do is even I used to practice walking, like using my hips, because women, like men, they walk from their shoulders, right? Men are, you know, they're
Yeah.
up here. Women, we are hips. And it's actually, I learned this from an osteopath friend of mine. She said your hips are supposed to move, like it's a natural thing, but we're brought up as women in this masculine world, and we're like, we got to be men, we're in the corporate
Right?
world,
Yeah.
you know, and we are not in our body, we're not in our hips. So when you go out and walk, think hips and move those hips back and forth. When she told me that, I'm like, no, I can't do that, you know.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
freaked me out a little because she's very, you know, like this. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's not me.
Yeah.
But now I can literally comfortably walk. I have guys that turn, and you know what I mean? That's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Because you've got this,
it's
natural flow and
not right.
yeah.
Just
Wow.
the feminine essence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've lost our feminine essence.
Totally.
And it's
Yeah.
like, get
But we
in
felt
your,
like we needed to, right? In order to make it in a world that was shut off to, feminine. It only allowed for a very narrow role of femininity. And so if we were going to shift and adopt, make it essentially in
yes,
this
right?
world, we had to do it, or we thought we did. But what I think we're finding now is that what the beautiful feminine can actually bring into the world, and letting that be the contribution, as opposed to trying to fit into the masculine definition of how to do life and how to do. But imagine how rigid we had to become, right, in order to.
Oh man, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, here's how I started. I started walking around my house, just walking back and forth
Oh,
here,
I love
and
it.
just
Yeah.
practicing wiggling my hips. And it was very uncomfortable, even though I had already like been able to move my hips, but to really, and I exaggerated it. So
Mm-hmm.
if you exaggerate it, then you'll kind of come back to the middle, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And actually it's so much better for your body. Like she said, you know, my
Mm-hmm.
osteopath friend, like we are supposed to move our hips. So bring your consciousness, your
Yeah.
focus to your hips, and think hips when you walk, and just keep doing that and
Right.
see what happens. See how men react to you. I mean, men love when women are in their body. They don't want us in our head. They're visual, they like body. I'm not saying you're trying to impress men. I'm
Right.
just saying
Right.
we are.
Yeah, yeah. And it's fun too, to start in a place like that, and then just listen for the little cues that your body will give you, as far as what does it want to do? Does it want to wave arms? Does it want to,
Yes.
kick? Does it want to skip? Does it want to, sway
Yeah.
in different ways? And your body will tell you. And that's not necessarily something you can expect on day one. But as you open up and make space to hear what it wants and what it's asking for, it will start to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
And
that's the patience is so important, and like the patience, and you're such a beautiful example of that, so much patience to not give up. And I think a lot of times, especially in our world now, we could order anything we want and have it here by tomorrow morning. And so we don't necessarily appreciate those practices that really do take a lot of patience, and sometimes can take a little bit of time to start hearing. But making that space and being dedicated, not necessarily to the result, but to the to the space, to making a space to open up a communication between you and your body.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and I'm sure you teach this, is you get to the point where your body guides you on what you want to eat too. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, so much so. And it's I just love it, because in the beginning I tell people, you're going to get to a point where you're going to let your body be in charge of
Yeah.
what you eat. And everyone has the same reaction at first. My body's only going to eat pizza and ice cream. My body's only going to. And inevitably they get to the point where they really start to notice, like, oh my gosh, I don't even like that food. My body said, don't ever put that in me again. So yeah, we can get to the place of beautiful, love and respect and trust. And then
feel dense in your own body. You feel lighter and
Mm.
freer too.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're no longer battling with your body, but really, making that friendship and doing life together. Like, what a glorious thing.
And I say, this is your temple. Like, you live in this body. This is your temple. Why would you not take the best care of it? It's
Right.
like, and
Right.
you can. You just need the steps, the tools,
Right.
instructions on how to do that.
Yeah. And we don't take care of ourselves from that place of push harder, do more. Right.
Oh God.
Because yeah,
The opposite of what you
the
want to do.
opposite.
It sounds crazy, but it is the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So,
undoing all the stuff we've been programmed into,
right. Right.
We've become such an unnatural society too. Like, I'm all natural. I've always been all natural. And it's like, that's the way to go, because that's when you really can heal.
Absolutely. There's been so many beautiful points here. And I love how, there's just, I feel like we could have gone off on about
Right.
38,000 different tangents and like, oh, ooh, tell me that. Ooh, so I really appreciate you being here and taking time and just being open to, wherever the conversation took us. And I think it's very valuable and it brings a much needed, just grace to this, journey that so many people are on and with their bodies. So I really, really appreciate this time with you. Um, I think you have a free gift for our viewers.
Yes, it's a 1-minute quiz to help you with your belly bloat. So it's really to help you like figure out what the hidden emotions are that keep you
Oh, wow.
bloated, or weight issues, or IBS, and poor digestion. And so it's going to point out the exact root causes of the belly bloat and then what you need to do to heal it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes. What a perfect gift, because as so eloquently provided for us, like that is the answer. There can be other things that we can use to tweak and stuff, but if we don't address this, it's not gonna get better.
Because
Yeah.
emotions do affect you more than you
Yeah.
realize.
Yeah. And I would guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would guess that this could apply to other body challenges, not
Yes.
just digestion, even though it's kind of geared. Yeah. So even if you're somebody who says, oh, yeah, my digestion is just fine, download it, take it anyway, because
Yeah.
there's always room to connect more and hear more from our wise bodies.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Beautiful.
You fit into a certain type, and then it helps you understand yourself more.
Yeah. Oh gosh. And from there, right?
Yeah.
Knowing yourself is such a beautiful foundational step. So
Yep.
yeah. Well, Jodi, I hate to say goodbye.
I know.
I want to, respect time, and I know that our viewers are, off to things as well. So let's do this again soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you again. I certainly appreciate your time in this beautiful conversation.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you all. Bye-bye.